Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So today I'm going to be discussing about the Electoral College and about the fact that it should be abolished. So the purpose of this is to educate on the Electoral College. Some of you may already know a lot about it, some may not. Um, you know, I feel like, and the points that I'm going to present are that the Electoral College should be done away with and that the popular vote should only matter. As adults, we all at some points have voted or know people that have voted. We probably have heard so much about voting from the last two elections that if we never heard anyone mention the term voting again, we'd probably be okay with that. So today we're going to be talking about why the Electoral College should be abolished. According to an article published by the NARA, which is the National Archives of and Records Administration, the Electoral College was established by the Founding Fathers in the 1700s. So the Electoral College doesn't always serve the needs of the people as it should. Some of the main points I will discuss to back up my persuasive speech are there are very little amendments have been made, though it is not for lack of trying. It doesn't always serve the needs of the citizens of the country, and when polled, over half of the citizens are in favor of doing away with the Electoral College. Now, let's take a little history trip. My first point is that very little amendments have been done to change the Electoral College since it was introduced by the Founding Fathers. We're going to take a look at just what has been done with the Electoral College since being introduced. According to an article published by the NARA, in the last 200 or so years, over 700 proposals have been introduced into Congress to change or eliminate the Electoral College. That's a lot of proposals. And yet we still have it today the same way it was. Also, according to the article, the American Bar Association calls it archaic and ambiguous. In 1987, the ABA, which is the American Bar Association, was polled and 69% of lawyers were in favor of abolishing it. Likewise, in 1967, 58% of Americans were in favor of abolishing it. And in 1968, 81%, and in 1981, 75%. The Electoral College also has been traditionally not been well to third parties. Governor Thurman in 1948 and Governor Wallace in 1968 won tons of electoral votes, and yet neither of them was even close to being a challenge to the majority party winner. According to a report by I don't know how to pronounce the name, Kratz 2020, there have been two amendments that affect the Electoral College. The first was the 12th Amendment, which states each elector of the Electoral College casts a separate vote for president and vice president rather than two votes for president. And then, according to Longley 2020, the next was the 23rd Amendment, which is basically gives the residents of Washington, D.C. the rights to vote for representatives in the Electoral College. It also awarded the District of Columbia the same number of votes as the least populous state. So we can see through history not very much has changed in the way the Electoral College has been handled since it started. I mean, it's been hundreds of years. Times have changed a lot. Could you imagine if other things were still the same from the 1700s? The way we dressed, the way we cooked, types of houses we lived in. Imagine if we had to try to get Wi-Fi in some of those old houses. So the way that the Electoral College is set up is a winner-take-all, and in most states, and it ignores the will of many voters. According to one article by the NCSL, which is the National Conference of State Legislation, in 2021, 48 states have adopted a winner-take-all. So if a candidate gets 11 of the state's 20 votes, they get all 20. Prime example, Donald Trump was given all of Pennsylvania's 20 when he got one more vote than Hillary Clinton in 2016. The next topic, which is the Electoral College doesn't always serve the needs of the people. So according to Oxford Dictionary, the definition of the Electoral College is a body of people representing the states of the U.S. who formally cast votes for the election of the president and vice president. Let us get into some reasons that they don't always work for the people. According to a report by Elving 2016, each state has an equal number according to its Senate seats, which is always two, plus its seat of House of Representatives. So some states such as California have 53 seats, so they get 55 votes. Texas has 36 seats, so it gets 38 votes. Whereas some states like New Mexico have 5 votes and Louisiana have 8. When you get to these states, some that have as little as 3 votes, it seems less significant if a candidate were to lose said states. Does that mean that they don't visit these states and invest time in hearing what the citizens of these states care about? A lot of times, yes, they get skipped over on the campaign trails. In the same article by the NCLS in 2021, it states that in 2016, 2/3 of the general election campaign or spending and events took place in only 6 states, and that 94% was centered in just 12 states. Also, the Electoral College is supposed to vote the way the public majority from their respective states vote. This does not always happen. According to a report by Ray in 2019, since 1789, there have been more than 150 faithless electors. These are people who did not cast a vote for their party's chosen candidate. 4 very notable times that the Electoral College has not gone with the popular vote: 1876, Rutherford B. Hayes; 1888, Benjamin Harrison; 2000, George Bush; and 2016, Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton received almost 3 million more popular votes than Trump. So as we can see here, although it is safe to assume that if the majority of a state votes one way, that the Electoral College will vote the same, but history has shown that is not always the case. Now, how do the public feel about the Electoral College? Let's take a look. The vast majority of the general public and politicians are in favor of doing away with the Electoral College. We're going to get into how the general public feels about it. In an article published by Brennan in 2020, 61% of Americans support doing away with the Electoral College. In this same report, it's noted that 89% of Democrats and 23% of Republicans are in favor of just going to the popular vote. Also, 68% of independents are in favor of amending the Constitution and going with just a popular vote. If there is such a majority of people that want to change, why do we not have one? Well, let's see. As I stated earlier, there have only been 4 times in history that a candidate has won the electoral vote and lost the popular vote. In 2000 and 2016, the Republicans won the electoral vote while losing the popular vote. Probably a big indicator of why Republicans are in favor of keeping things the way that they are. Also, according to Brennan 2016, amending the Constitution will require 2/3 of both House of Congress and 3/4 of the states. So basically, there has always been a majority of public in favor of doing away with the Electoral College. The only group that has mainly been against have been the Republicans. Now, I'm saying that not off personal opinion. I'm basing it off statistics that I found in my research. Now, if they were really out to serve the people and not themselves, wouldn't they agree with the public's opinion and the Democrats to vote to abolish this Electoral College? So today I have presented several reasons why the majority of Americans would rather abolish the Electoral College and switch to the popular vote, yet it doesn't seem likely anytime soon. So in closing, we have seen that nothing has really been done to amend the Electoral College since it was established. It doesn't always tend to the needs of the general public, and a majority of the public are in favor of doing away with the Electoral College. So the next time you vote, take a second and think, just how many votes does my state have from the Electoral College? Am I in one of those states that seems to be the ones that gets avoided when campaigning? While it's true that every vote counts, it's also apparent that not every vote counts the same. Thank you.